Is it just Broncos fans, or is the excitement in the air palpable? Fans are on cloud nine right now, and who can blame us? For the first time in ages, these Denver Broncos are starting to look like a real playoff team. After a solid win against the Carolina Panthers, we're riding high with 5 wins out of our last 6 games. And here's the kicker, our only losses this season, those were against playoff caliber teams with some of the toughest defenses in the league. Welcome back, Broncos Nation! If you're as pumped as we are and want to keep up with all the latest on the Broncos playoff push, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Brett Rypien showed some fantastic flashes today, and we've got some great injury news to share as well. If you're new here, I believe the playoffs are within our reach. If you share that belief, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Now, let's dive in. Sure, some haters might say, "Oh, you only beat the Saints and the Panthers. Big deal." But hold on a second. There were several 1-6 teams today that pulled off shockingly impressive wins. Just because the Broncos took care of business against a struggling team doesn't mean we should overlook it. In the NFL, it truly is any given Sunday, and you can't take any team lightly. This is very exciting about how the Broncos showed up for this game. They didn't let up and actually beat the Panthers more decisively than Caleb Williams did. Plus, last week against the Saints, we performed better than the Chargers did, despite the Saints having more injuries this week than they did last week. So, while some folks want to hate, we've been stepping up against good competition. Now, let's talk about some fantastic news. We all knew from week 1 that this defense would keep us in every game. We've got multiple players on track to hit that impressive 10-sack mark. By every metric, our defensive line is shaping up to be the best in the league. We've got strength on the edges with Cooper, Benito, Ellis, and Baron Browning, and power in the middle with John Franklin Myers and Zach Allen. Plus, we've got the best corner in football, Pat Surtain, along with his sidekick Riley Moss. Our defense is stacked. Man, what a performance. The big question everyone had was, is BoNix really going to improve week after week like we all thought? Well, he just showed us he can. The Carolina Panthers may not be a pushover when it comes to defending the pass, but Bo lit them up like a Christmas tree. He threw for 4 total touchdowns, 3 through the air, including 2 to our tight ends. That's a fantastic twist that I didn't see coming. Today, our tight ends really stepped up. Fans were a bit worried when Cole got hurt on that fake field goal, but thankfully, he bounced back and made a great catch. Watching Bo Nix play with such swagger and confidence was amazing. He didn't overlook the Panthers. Instead, he kept his foot on the gas the whole game. And how about Courtland Sutton? After getting 0 targets last week, he came out swinging this week. Instead of throwing anyone under the bus, he showed great humility, focusing on the win above all else. In the first half alone, he almost hit 100 yards and ended up finishing with 100. He did fumble late in the game, and Coach Sean Payton definitely had some words about that. Trust me, we'll be discussing it more later this week. But seeing Courtland shine as our wide receiver 1 was huge. He still got it. That interception by Pat Surtain was incredible. And what's even better is that we made it through the game without any major injuries. That's a huge relief. I was holding my breath when I saw all his teammates gather around him after that pick, hoping he wasn't hurt. I was checking Twitter like a madman. But then he popped up after the commercial break, laughing and chatting with the guys. Thank goodness he's okay. Nick Bonito is on fire, too. He's on track to break Von Miller's sack record, which is just incredible. With Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson coming up, he's going to have plenty of chances to make his mark. And let's not overlook how well our defense performed on 3rd downs today. They've been a bit shaky, but they showed up big time. Sure, they might have a solid run defense, but their pass defense, not so much. Bo Nix lit them up like a Christmas tree. If you look at our last 6 games, we've scored over 26 points in each one. When's the last time we could say that? It's a game changer. The real winners from this game? Gotta hand it to Sean Payton for making the call to move on from Russell Wilson. Just look at what he's doing with a rookie quarterback. Can you imagine how good Bo's going to be as he keeps making those incremental improvements week by week? We're not just talking about being good now, we're talking about being good for years to come. Right now, if the season ended today, we'd be in the playoffs, sitting 2 games above .500. And with the Bengals and Colts both taking big hits, our playoff chances are looking better. The Athletic hasn't updated its playoff predictions yet, but we were at a 48% chance of making the playoffs at 9. 8. I bet that jumps to 60% after this win, and there are still teams we're going to surprise. Another fantastic highlight from this game? Bo's completion percentage. He hit 76% against J.C. Horn, who's no slouch. Well, critics were right about Cortland Sutton because J.C. Horn might not be as good as Certain, but he's one of the better corners in the league. Well, we made him look ordinary. Let's talk about those drops, though. Troy Franklin had some alligator arms out there, and Lil Jordan Humphrey dropped at least 2 catchable balls, one on the sideline and another in the end zone. It's hard not to think Tim Patrick would have had those, and he probably wouldn't have fumbled either. But I'm trusting Peyton's vision with this squad. Bo Nix deserves to be the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. He's putting up numbers that are straight out of a sci-fi movie. Just last week, I was saying the Star Wars era was over, but guess what? It's back. Bo Nix is taking charge like he's our quarterback. And honestly, he feels like all of our fathers out there. Let's talk about something exciting. In multiple post-game press conferences, including one with Dave Logan, Sean Payton has expressed just how impressed he is with Bo Nix. He even said, "Do we have enough around him?" After Cortland Sutton's fumble. Is he trying to light a fire under Sutton? Or is he genuinely considering a trade before the deadline? Players like Cooper Kupp are still out there. And with the Bengals' playoff hopes taking a hit, could they move on from T. Higgins? Or what about the Browns? We need to keep an eye on that. Another thing which deserves love is it's easy to get a bit cocky when you've won 5 out of 6 games. But after smashing the Raiders, we don't see any of that overconfidence creeping in. These guys are keeping their foot on the gas, no question about it. Payton emphasized that while this win was great, we've got tougher teams ahead. It would be easy to celebrate too much, but that's just not how this team rolls. Nick Bonito is another bright spot, tying Von Miller's sack record. He talked about the upcoming road trip, saying, "We've been playing well on the road this year." He welcomed the challenge, and he's right. We've actually performed better on the road than at home this season. Now we're heading into back-to-back games against the Raiders and the Ravens. The Ravens are in a tight race with the Steelers, and they're going to come out swinging after a tough loss to the Browns. It's always tricky facing an angry team, and we remember how fired up they were after losing to us due to some questionable calls. But remember when the Ravens lost to the Chiefs and then came back home only to lose to the Raiders? If the Raiders can beat the Ravens, then we can definitely take them down too. Looking at the standings, the Ravens might be right behind the Broncos, holding the 6th seed with the same 5-3 record. Thanks to a couple of tiebreakers, we're just a bit ahead. But let's be real. On paper, Denver is looking like the underdog against both the Ravens and the Chiefs. But hey, we love a good underdog story. Just last year, on October 29th, 2023, the Broncos shocked everyone by beating the Chiefs at home. Then, right after the bye, they went on the road and upset the Bills. History repeating itself, anyone? This might just be the perfect time for another epic run. Baltimore's had some ups and downs this season. They started off 0-2, lost to the Chiefs, and even took an L against the Raiders. Today, they took another hit from the Browns. If Baltimore keeps slipping, Denver's got a real chance to step in and make some noise. A win here could set the stage for this road stretch. So Broncos country, what do you think? Are we looking at a playoff caliber team or what? With the way Bo Nix and this defense are clicking, there's a lot to be excited about. Sean Payton's vision is coming together, and we're finally seeing the results on the field. And hey, if you're pumped to see the Broncos stay on this roll and make a serious playoff push, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. We're just getting started here. The road ahead is tough, but with back-to-back games against the Raiders and Ravens, we've got a real chance to show the league what we're made of. Until next time, Broncos fans, keep the faith and let's ride this wave together.